Hi, Sister Moms. While we hope that you enjoy listening to the Four Moms podcast and find it helpful, it is not intended to replace a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. If you have questions about finding a mental health provider, please email us at fourmoms827@gmail.com and we will send you a list of resources.
We are Four Moms, a platform intended to uplift and empower those who listen so that they find their voice, seek healing, and recover their strength. It is our hope that in tuning into Four Moms, you find a community full of laughter, thought provoking conversation, and you see a little bit of yourself in each one of us because we are four daughters, four women, and four moms here for you.
Hi, Sister Moms. Welcome back. Come on in. Let's get started.
Hi, welcome to season 2, episode 3 of our podcast, For Moms, For You. This week in April is actually Black Maternal Health Week, and April itself is C-Section Awareness Month. So we're just going to spend our first episode of this month just talking about our labors and deliveries and just some educational pieces as well as cultural experiences of Black women in pregnancy, labor, and delivery. So our opening question for today would be, did you feel safe and heard during labor and delivery? Why or why not? And I guess I'll kick it off. Specifically through labor and delivery, I was not heard. I remember asking for the nurses to go get the doctor. I was ready to push. I was ready for my little angel to come out, and they just were not taking heed to the warnings. And I was like, okay, well, I'm pushing her out now. So, somebody just needs to be there to catch her. And just little things like that. I feel like overall my labor and delivery experience was pretty smooth. I have heard of, different stories with Serena Williams and other people that have had difficult labors and deliveries. And I thank God that I did have like the sense of self-advocacy throughout my labor and delivery to say, this is what I want, and this is what I know, this is my birth plan, this is what is going to happen, and you guys need to go with the program because, if not, I'm ready to go through with this by myself. So I felt safe and the knowledge and background that I already had. I felt safe in working with a nurse through nurse partnership and a doctor that had been open to having conversations with me my whole pregnancy. I did feel that in the heat of the moment, the nurses weren't necessarily hearing me, but I made my point pretty clear to them. What about you guys?
I guess I'll go. I did feel heard in my labor delivery. When we got to the hospital, I actually passed out my birthing plan to everyone that came into my room. So I had like multiple copies. I discussed it with my husband what I wanted, and we also hired a doula to also be there to advocate for me because it was just him and I, and this was my first child, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be any time where I was not going to be able to speak for myself. So I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of what I wanted. The I had a midwife instead of a doctor. So the only thing that I didn't like about that, she just started at the practice, and that was her first weekend at the hospital. So it was also my first time meeting her. And I was hoping that another midwife was going to be on call that day. But she did work with me fine. She did listen to me. And when I was ready to push, she said, all right, let's go. So the only thing I did not like was that like you actually have to practice pushing before you actually push. And I didn't get that time to practice pushing. And once I felt my daughter's head like crowning, like I was just like, get her out of me. So I felt that if we would have practiced before, I would have listened more and wouldn't have possibly, I could have tore anyway, but I wouldn't have tore as much. So that was the only part that I was concerned about. And then during the time I was in the hospital after I gave birth, just most hospitals don't take the baby away. And I feel like there needs to be a moment where you could just calm down for that adrenaline rush and just, have them check your baby while you could just kind of like become yourself again, because it was just, I was on like a natural high for a couple of hours and then just crashed, and I was just so exhausted and tired. And that was when they were coming in to do all the checks with the baby, and of course you want to be up for all that. So that was the only concern I had, but I also wasn't aware all that was going to happen, even though I took all the classes, I did the hospital tour and all that stuff. You know, it still didn't prepare me for everything that happened after. So I think they need to be very truthful about what happens before and after.
Did you find that having a midwife and a doula, I guess you found it, like you said, beneficial? I'm just interested in that. Like, did your family kind of like have that history, or did you take it upon yourself to just seek that type of support?
So my mom had all natural births, and I wanted to also go natural. And most of my sisters had C-sections, and some of them just did not want to be in the room with me because they had babies, they didn't want to see it again. So in order for me to feel safe and comfortable, because this was my first time and my husband's first time, I just felt like I needed someone else there. And I was talking to my midwife about it, and she was like, you know, there's doulas out there that can help you, since just becoming YouTube. And I was like, okay. So I looked into 2 different doulas. It is expensive, and we did have the budget for it. So I just didn't go shopping as much, and I didn't go out to eat as much to make sure we could have this person there for us. She actually came to our house twice before delivery. And then she came to our house after I had the baby, just to check on us, make sure. And the nicest thing that I've ever got from anyone, she took a picture of when Luna was first on my chest after I gave birth, and she sent that to me when she turned 1. And I didn't know she took it. Alex didn't know she took it. So that was really nice of her. And she was actually pregnant during the time I was giving birth. And while I was like very calm and collective, she's like, girl, you gotta move or this baby's not coming. And if you don't want a C-section, you gotta move. So let's go. So, and I was very scared to have a C-section. I was never spent any long time in the hospital. So I just did not want to be in the hospital at all. So I was keen on having a natural birth. But of course, if something happened where I had to have a C-section, it is what it is. But I just wanted multiple people there just in case, you know, anything could happen. I watched a lot of Call the Midwife, so that actually helped too, about seeing the importance of a midwife and all their expertise too. So
interesting. So yeah, I'll just go next. Well, I mean, I had 2, so I had 2 different experiences, obviously. But I don't really remember. Like the first one, I was in labor for a long time, like Monday to Wednesday in the hospital though. And I didn't know, like the second one, I didn't go to the hospital until I was like ready to push him out at that moment. But the first one, you know, I felt labor pains. They kept sending me back because I just wasn't dilating. But, you know, it was dangerous because I lived kind of far from the hospital at the time. So I, you know, if I had known that, obviously I just would have like stayed home until I felt, you know, like it was speeding up. But I was in full blown pain, just not dilating. So I thought I was going to have a C-section too, but ended up, you know, just having, I got an epidural. I didn't have natural birth. Epidural pushed them out. But either way, I was just really weak, really hungry. I remember that. And just felt like they were just not telling me a lot of information or like what to expect next. And I did do classes and stuff too. So, you know, the second one, I would say I was like way more prepared in terms of like, I literally labored at home. And then when I couldn't speak or like think, that's when we went to the hospital, and my labor was like way shorter, like 12 hours. The first one was like 34 hours. So yeah. He owes me big time. But
you owe me.
Yeah, he does. And I had a really bad tear with number 1, which was horrible. Couldn't sit. Felt like I had a C-section because I couldn't do anything. You know, Earth, it's like you're in so much pain. Yeah, you can't do anything. So shower, everything hurts. So yeah, I don't, like I said, the first one.
How big was your tear?
I don't remember. 2, so I don't know. What is it? I don't remember.
Girl, I think it go all the way to 5. Like it's actually in your like anus. But mine was
yeah.
You're scared.
Yeah,
He's like,
mine was
what?
like 2 or 3. It was like 2 or 3. And thank God he was a tiny baby. He was only 5 pounds. I had him a little early. But yeah, sis didn't know anything about that. And then trying to nurse on top of that with like no support at the hospital. Like they just looked at me like they gave me this old breast pump. It was like, okay, do this. And I was like, what? Like I didn't know, anything about breastfeeding. My family thought I was weird. We talked about this before. But I just really didn't know what to do next. But I knew I wanted to have my baby in the room because I was just super paranoid. Also, having a boy, having that C-section. I mean, circumcision. Yes, having him circumcised. I couldn't get it out. I was trying to say C-section. That in itself freaked me out. Like I didn't think about that when I was pregnant. I don't know. Maybe I was just a dodo brain. I just did not think about having a boy and like them doing like a little surgery on my baby. So just all of that. My husband had to go back to work after I had the baby like the next day. So I was home by myself. I mean, I was at the hospital by myself. But the biggest thing, I know I'm rambling, the biggest thing I remember besides the nursing part and just like being in labor way too long, 2 things. Well, my first one, I had him on New Year's Eve. So it was like a lot of women had babies on New Year's Eve. Don't know why, but it was like 20 women in the hospital besides me that were having babies. So,
oh gosh,
I was lucky to get a room. Like
what
it was
month?
crazy.
I'm about to say, what month you got pregnant? Make sure I don't get pregnant.
Oh, Valentine's
Don't get
Day.
pregnant that month.
April. I got pregnant in April, right around my birthday. Yep.
Too much fun on birthday.
So, yeah. Well, it was like March, the end of March, but I found out like right around my birthday, and I was like, oh, but I didn't think about December. So yeah, beware, December people. A lot of people have holiday babies. I had no. It was jumping. My doctor had on stilettos. She was coming from the club, like she was lit. I'm telling you, like she was in there, like, all right, let's get this baby out. Her hair was popping. I'm like, I feel so bad. So. That was crazy. That is funny. But the second experience wasn't a good experience. I was at a hospital in New Jersey, and my I call him father. That's my mother's husband. He was racially profiled in the bathroom, like while I was giving birth. Like he was downstairs in the lobby or whatever, went to the bathroom, and these cops literally came into the bathroom, harassed him, saying that he had weed on him. He's 60 something years old. Like what? And they literally pulled a gun out on him and everything. Like all of this happened in the hospital. He didn't tell us anything until we got home because he didn't want to, just shake up the environment. Obviously, he wanted the focus to be on the baby. But that was horrible, like being racially profiled and then finding out, and it was a mess. So that was my second experience. Yeah. So, but in terms of like the doctors and everything, I felt supported. By the second baby, I knew how to advocate for myself. I think it really does depend on your doctor that you choose, because I changed doctors from the first one to the second one just because they had too many people in their practice. And I didn't like the on-call thing kind of freaked me out. It was 4 or 5 different doctors, and some of them I didn't have the best experience with, but I didn't speak up for myself. So either way, I got the good doctor, the popping one that came in with the stilettos on. For the first one, but if I had not, I don't know how that would have went. So I changed doctors for the second baby just to make sure that I felt like, okay, I have one doctor, if any life happens, maybe she'll have a backup, but it's not as, unsure. So
yeah. It's very so hard to find a doctor with a small practice now.
I was just about to say that. Now the numbers are 4 or more. Like 4 is like a good number now.
Yeah. I think it's insurance. Like I get it. Either grouping together, it's cheaper. Doctors are struggling with these insurances and everything. Yeah. But it does make you uncomfortable not to know who's going to deliver your baby. It could be a complete stranger. Like you have to meet with, I think each of them.
With a stranger. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not fun.
I think it's also tough on the doctors too to be on call all the time. So that's why they're joining these larger practices so that they're not on call every single day. They end up taking like just 1 week out of the month.
Right.
But yeah, it's tough. I think Earth and I had this conversation with our first pregnancy, saying like, I don't know where I got this idea from. Was it TV or what? But I just thought I was going to have the same doctor every single visit. And when I called and said, I'm ready, that person was going to show up.
We thought Cosby show.
We thought we would have this relationship, but that's not always the case. So I guess like the best bet is to find a practice that's small enough and that, where you feel comfortable with all the staff.
Right.
But I'll go ahead and share. I think that I felt safe, and I felt heard, but it was just a really hectic labor and delivery. First of all, Cairo in true fashion just kind of showed up when he was ready. He was a week late, and I was trying so hard. Like I was exercising through my whole pregnancy. I was exercising 3 days a week at like 5 a.m. I was at Planet Fitness. The weeks leading up to my delivery, I was walking my block. I was, outside on the curb, like, how they tell you to put one foot on the curb and one in the street, do all this stuff. I ate the spicy food. I ate the pineapple, the castor oil. I tried everything that people said would, make me deliver sooner, but it just didn't happen. I was trying to avoid intervention because a good friend of mine said, whatever you do, don't let them give you Pitocin.
Oh yeah.
She said, Pitocin is the devil. And
What's
she was
that?
right. She was right. So I was a week late, and we went to the hospital the day before I was supposed to be induced because I saw something that I thought was like the start of what was gonna, the labor and delivery. So I showed up and I'm like, I'm ready. And they're like, no, you're not, but you're gonna be induced tomorrow, so you're staying. So anyway, so that day they were like, all right, we're gonna get things rolling. And they gave me the Pitocin, which, gives you contractions. But I had like some weird responses to it where, I was like breathing and walking around, and I was talking to the nurses who were amazing, by the way. I felt like they took care of me like a baby. I had one person stationed right outside of the room who was monitoring me and baby, like and I could see them from the bed and from the room. That person was sitting there. They were constantly checking. They asked me, what's your birth plan? So I was happy that they greeted me in that way and wanted to have that conversation. It was like, when I told her I wanted to go natural, she's like, all right, hold on. Girls, she wants to go natural. Bring in the peanut, bring in the, like they just started bringing in like these different things for me to toy with, which was awesome that they had that stuff there. So things that I bought, I didn't even necessarily need. But the Pitocin kicked in, and what happened is my contractions were a lot stronger than they were supposed to be. And I had no idea. So I'm just trying to like breathe through it. And I'm a person, when I'm in pain, I'm quiet, like I'm not, hollering and all that stuff. So the nurse came in, she said, sweetie, I feel so bad. She said, we're watching, and your contractions right now are where they should be when you're pushing, but you're only 6 centimeters dilated.
Oh, God.
So they gave the Pitocin, and then they gave me something to counteract it, to like decrease the effect of it. So it was like, okay, now we're trying to slow things down, still trying to do it. And then at one point I just sat down and relaxed, and all of a sudden a whole crew of people, maybe like 10 people, ran into the room. They said not a word. They just put a mask on me, start hooking me up to stuff, pushed my husband out the way. I was like, what's happening? What's happening? And once things got calmed down, they said baby's heart dropped, and really scared us. And from now on, we want you to stay near the bed. You can walk the room or stay near the bed, but don't leave the room, because they say he wasn't tolerating labor well. So after that, I was like, okay, I don't know exactly what's going on, but things aren't going exactly as planned. And when you're in the hospital, before you walk in, you have a plan, and then when you're there, it's kind of like you're in a fog. It's hard to keep up. It's almost like a out of body experience, like you're watching a story kind of play out. So I just remember kind of waiting, and the doctor who showed up wasn't like my primary one, and I was actually nervous about this person. But she was great. She walked in, she was like, I'm gonna whoop his butt when he gets out of there. She said, because he is giving us a run for our money. And she was talking to the screen and talking to him and stuff. She said, he is just showing his tush, going back and forth with the heart rate. And then eventually it had been 7 hours that I was laboring naturally, and still 6 centimeters dilated. And his heart rate started really dropping, and it got really scary at a moment. You know how you hear the heartbeat, and then all of a sudden it was like, boop, boop, like it just really got super slow. And the doctor came in, she said, look, I know that this was your plan, but I know how much you want this baby, and you didn't carry him for 9 months to play with his life now. My recommendation is a C-section. And I looked at my mom and I said, what do you think? And she said, what do you mean? What do I think? You don't have a choice. You gotta, like what she said is right. Don't hold on to this plan and risk his life. So we moved with that. I had to sit and get the epidural, and they rushed us into into the operation room, and neither me or Charlie, we didn't know like what to expect. So when we got in there, they started working. They're like, husband, do you have a phone? Do you have a camera? You want to take pictures? He's like, it's an operating room. I didn't know I could bring a phone in here.
Right.
Like he's like, I feel like, like sterile environment, you're not supposed to do this stuff. But they, they were just really, really, I think, an all-star team. When we came in, every single person in that OR introduced themselves to me, said congratulations, said everything's going to be okay. They got him out and they were like, happy birthday. And he came out wailing. You guys know Cairo, so he's loud. He had a cord though. So it turns out what was keeping him from progressing was that he was wrapped around his head and wrapped around his neck. So that's why things just weren't working out for him. But what I do remember is getting really worried afterwards because they had to give additional medications for this procedure. But they told me I was only supposed to be numb from the waist down. But for some reason I had a reaction. I was numb from the neck down. So that was really, really scary. They're like, oh, and some people, they have that experience. So a nurse came to me afterwards and she said, do you want to breastfeed? I said, yes, but I can't move. I can't move my arms or anything. And she set me up and she put them on me and she wrapped my arms around him for me and covered us up. So it really felt like a loving environment. They were taking care of me. Another nurse came in like the next day once I was able to get up and move around. She was like, let's get you cleaned up, Mom, while baby's sleeping. And I'm walking to the bathroom and I thought she was just like holding the cords behind me. Girl, she barged in and opened stuff up and started spraying me with water. She's like, oh yeah, you get the baby treatment here. And she was like wiping me and everything. I was like, Lord, I'm not used to this. By the way, you cannot have any shame when you're going in to have a baby. Everything is out and open. Spread low and wide. They looking at everything.
Yes.
But yeah, she really was taking care of me, spraying me with a little bottle and cleaning me up and but yeah, they took good care of me. It was just a scary experience because of, the health issues that were occurring. And then I think I shared on one of our sessions that when I got home, I didn't know, but the hospital called and said, we're sending a nurse just to follow up. And that nurse came and she treated my son like he was a part of her family. When she came in, he was having a hard time. He had acid reflux. So I opened my door. I was like, hi. He's like, what? I was like, oh, you'll be okay. And then, he cried the whole time. She's like, give him to me. And she started patting him on the butt and rubbing his back. And she was speaking to him in Spanish and just wooing him and loving on him. And he just curled up in her arms. And
like, where's that for me?
Excuse me. She's like, oh, he's so sweet. And, she was just kind of teaching me some strategies that really worked for me, like a movement and talking and rocking and singing ended up being our thing after I learned that from her. And then she took my blood pressure and told me we had to go to the hospital because, my blood pressure was so high. But yeah, so it was a roller coaster, but I think I had good providers who heard me, who pushed me when I needed to move because I tend to take too long to make decisions. Overall, I think it went well.
I'm happy that we all had an opportunity right now just to reflect on our labor and delivery experiences. I am very I'm feeling something right now. I'm feeling like a whole bunch of different emotions because y'all scaring me. Every labor and delivery is different, and the tearing, and I didn't know there was like different degrees of tearing, and Lord Jesus, and the C-section, note to self, you can bring a cell phone into a sterile environment, ignore the anatomy thought processes. But I just I think that it's important that we share these stories, and it's crazy because I think that, no matter how old our babies get, we're always going to remember the day that we brought them into the world, and it always like holds a special, place in our hearts. And how a lot of Black parents said, I brought you in this world and I could take you out. But it's like, I really remember in your case, clearly another 34 hours it took to bring you into this world. And I'm like, oh my God, 34 hours of starvation.
Girl,
I couldn't get over that number.
I would have ate a steak. Like I would have ate something crazy if I had known that would hold me for a few days.
Right.
So the second one, I was sneaking snacks. I was eating. I was doing everything wrong that they told me not to do because I was like, no, y'all not gonna have me here. I thought I was gonna be there for another 3 days. So I was traumatized.
You know what I mean? I was scared the whole, I don't know. I mean, they say people have pooped when they've gave birth, but you know, I had Luna the day of my baby shower. I ate. And I was not concerned if I was gonna or not. I was just like, oh.
They're used to bodily fluids.
Yeah. Well, I asked them, I was like, did I poop yet? Because the reason why I said that is because when I went to the breastfeeding class at North Beth Israel, I asked them, I was like, do women poop, when they push them out? And she was like, oh, absolutely. That's how you know the baby's coming. And she was like, we just clean it up. So I was like, okay. So when I had my first son, I asked them, I was like, did I poop yet? And they were like, yes, we cleaned it up. I was like, great, I did it. So I know I was pushing right. But they don't tell you, they just clean it up.
Yep. They move fast,
like,
and you wouldn't know if you don't ask.
You don't know. But I knew that was a landmark. I was waiting for that to come.
You know that.
That's super, super deep.
Wait, question.
Yeah.
Did your husband's look?
Oh yeah. My husband filmed the second one, the whole thing. I have it on my phone right now.
Lucky.
Charlie saw everything. He was like, I saw your guts. He's like, it was a lot of blood, and I'm surprised he didn't faint because, it was bad, but they had a curtain up so I couldn't see. So I'm like laying flat and I can't see, but he saw everything.
I would want to see that. I would want to see my insides. I'm very curious. I'm
not interested.
I'll send y'all the video after this. No, I'm joking. I always show it to my little cousins when they being fast. I'm like, come here, let me tell you something.
Let me scar you for life. Scared.
Right.
Or even when people like, oh, they want the mirror. They had asked me, and I was just like, no. I'm good.
I want to see. I when I gave birth, I actually gave birth at North Beth Israel. They did not let any phones or anything out. My mother was sneaking pictures when she was first born. I was like, I wanted to see. I wanted to have a video of that first time because it was just amazing. And you just want to watch it over and over again, right?
It is.
Nope.
I actually do watch it a lot. Not a lot, but I watch it and it makes me cry. But
is that why you're also
because
that's probably why you're also you're done no more?
Yes.
Because you've seen it so much.
I've kept that memory on my phone, literally, so that I can know that it's over.
Did y'all cry when y'all saw your baby?
Yeah, I did.
It was a lot. I didn't think it was gonna be that emotional. I did not think, because I'm just like, oh, we about to work this out. I'm about to do this warrior cry. I know a lot of people are quiet when they go into attractions, but I was just like, oh,
what?
Yep. Because I had this person that I work with, she was like, don't be afraid to yell, scream, whatever. That is your time. You pay for that room. It's expensive as hell. You do whatever you want in there. So just yell it out.
Yeah.
Wait, but you didn't get an epidural, right?
I did not.
Oh, well, you should have been screaming. What is it called? The ball of fire or something
Ring of fire. Yeah.
That's what I felt. Yeah. And when they said push, I was like, get her out of me. So I was like, and then I pushed again, and that's probably where I tore because I pushed too quickly.
You just gotta stop mentioning the T word.
And
I want to throw up a little bit.
I remember my husband asking me a lot of questions, and just saying things like, oh my God, are you all right? You're in pain. You need anything? And I just looked, I said, stop talking to me.
Yes.
Again, for some reason, when it's intense like that, I kind of just come down and get in my zone and get quiet. And I just need you to not talk And I don't know, he asked me another question. I just act like he wasn't there. I was just like,
Yeah.
Like I am in my zone.
Yeah.
I'm focused right now.
My room was right next to someone that had waited a little bit too late to get anything, and she was screaming for the meds and screaming for get this little baby out of me, like very vulgar words. I said that in a very nice way. But she's like, get it out now. I don't care if you got it. I was like,
Right.
like, Lord Jesus, I don't want to feel whatever she's feeling right now. I don't want to feel it. But I'm a very I acted a fool when the contractions started, because I was like, before I even conceived my daughter, I never experienced cramps in my life. So I was just very like
it's not comparable. When people say
It's not.
No.
but
It's
I'm just letting you know my level of never having pain in this area. Okay.
Yeah.
When I found the way I found out I was pregnant with her, I actually went to the emergency room because I had implantation cramping, and I was like, whoa, like something is wrong with me. Like, I don't know what is going on, but y'all need to check this out. And they were all looking at me like, you're how old? Like, you don't get a period? Like, and like, I do, but this is not normal. And they were like, oh, it's implantation cramping. You're 5 weeks pregnant. I'm like, oh, okay. So then fast forward to like, I'm getting ready to like give birth, and I'm sitting here like, first of all, those little cramps that they said in the beginning is not what's going on right now. Second of all, what in the heck is going on in here? Somebody come get this kid out of me now. Like, I know I had a birth plan. I know I had this, but somebody please take it out. And my doctor was laughing at me. He was getting ready to go on vacation, actually. I was supposed to be induced on that Thursday because I was 42 weeks pregnant. And he was getting ready to go on vacation. He was like, look, Almi, so this baby's either going to come out now or come out on Thursday. Either way, I'm leaving for vacation on Friday. And I was like,
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, Dr. Podolsky, okay. So I was like, I want my mom, like somebody just like get this baby out of me. He said, I'm not cutting you open. There's no reason for me to cut you open. You're gonna sit here and go through this. I was like, I need the drugs. I don't know what type of drugs y'all got.
Give me all of them.
The hard stuff.
Oh, the hard stuff, okay. And he put me on morphine rest, and that like blew my mind. I was just sitting here like, I thought I'm supposed to be resting. Why am I waking up for every contraction? It was like horrible. And then I got an epidural that only worked on half of my body half of the time. So I was just like,
I didn't want to get one. It needed to work. I don't want it to not work if I was going to get it.
Exactly, right. Like, I already can't do needles. I'm a whole child, like in a grown-up body. Like, I already can't do needles. And I'm sitting here getting this big old needle in my back. Like, y'all better make sure I can't feel nothing. Like, and when that next contraction came and I'm still screaming, I'm over here looking like, now what was y'all doing? Why am I still screaming? But I calmed down after a little bit because I was like, look, I don't really want a C-section. I don't want them to be like, oh, she's not handling it well. Let's, just do what she's asking. So get it together, calm it down. And I was very annoyed. Like, don't talk to me, don't touch me, like leave the lights off. Why you keep coming in here? Like, you either gonna send me home or let this baby come when she wants to come. And they were talking about, oh, well, we're gonna have to induce you and we're gonna break your water for you. And I'm just sitting here like, Abigail, you hear that? It's time to get out of here because they want to intervene and I don't want that. And I was kind of like you, Dr. Lamb, like right before it was time to give birth, I'm like walking, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Weequahic Park. I'm walking up them hills, walking from Weequahic Park all the way up the hill to the Burger King to get a little milkshake thing. I was just out here and I was hot and I was like half naked and I just wanted this baby to come. And I really like pride myself on the fact that like I kind of took things in my own hands. I'm not gonna let y'all tell me what I'm going to do, especially like this is my body. This is like, my money that I'm paying to be here. Right. And my baby, and kind of similar to you, Kalima, like when they were coming, or was it Earth saying like how they were coming in and taking out the baby and things like that. I was just like, wait, what y'all doing?
They didn't take the baby. I said, I wish they did.
Oh, Kalima taking the test, doing the tests and stuff.
Yeah, the tests were annoying. I was tired.
I was like, wait a second, somebody walk with my kid. Who, like, mom, what are you doing sitting there crocheting? Get up and follow them. Like, how do you know that
daddy's time?
A real nurse? Like,
I needed a rest.
I was like, Frank, where are you? Like, go look for the kid. Like, what if it's not really a real nurse? I watch a lot of Lifetime movies and things like that. So it's very like paranoid.
Don't watch those before you give birth.
Don't watch
Yeah,
don't watch that. Don't go to YouTube and watch birth. It's just not like.
I did. I loved it.
No.
I did like watching the natural births on YouTube, like all the humming and rocking women.
See, that's why I yelled, warrior cry, warrior.
But some of the things did teach you. Like, I feel like one of the reasons why I was able to avoid tearing is some of like the educational pieces that I got about like perineal massages and warm compresses and things like that to help like those tissues and those muscles relax a little bit more. So when you are pushing and you're pushing really hard, that you're not tearing. I do wish, like, as part of our like American, because I really think this is a United States of America problem, is that we are more centralized and consistent with the care and the advice that we give to women during pregnancy, during labor and delivery, because there are a lot of things that could be avoided with right knowledge or with people in the room that are accessing the knowledge that they're trained to access. Because at the end of the day, most of these things are not taught to like common people going to give birth, right? And like you say, we come in and we're like in a fog or things, or we're just watching things happening, but like we can't really access like that information that we like learned throughout the 10 months of pregnancy and what to expect when you're expecting books and all this stuff. But like these are trained professionals, whether it's a midwife, a doula, a doctor, nurse, you know, to access this information. So help me bring this beautiful baby into the world before I scream at the top of my lungs. But do you guys think like throughout your pregnancy, you were like mentally preparing for like some miraculous occasion to come, and then like the moment that it came, it was like, oh, thank God it's over? Like, I feel like my whole pregnancy, I was very anxious for the birth of my daughter. But when the day actually came, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. Oh my God, I'm doing it. Oh my God, I did it. Oh my God, I'm a mother. Like, she's here. Like, what do I do next? Like, I felt like I spent my whole pregnancy preparing for labor and delivery. And I was like, oh, now I have to actually parent. And like, what comes next?
Yeah. There's a moment where you realize when you maybe a couple weeks in, when you're doing the same routine every day, all day for a couple weeks, you're like, oh, this is not changing forever. Like I am the mama and he is the daddy, and this, you know, this is our life and our responsibility. I think I was in shock, you know, while in the hospital, because there was, you know, so much going on physically. And I remember right after the C-section, they brought me in, and I could tell I probably looked bad just by looking at my family, because they looked so worried. They're like, you know, kind of watching me like, what did the doctor say? You know, I didn't look at myself because I couldn't get out of bed, but I imagined that maybe I was like gray, you know, like no color, and I couldn't feel and all that kind of stuff going on. But my sister was like, so do you feel like a mom? I was like, I don't know. I said that. I was like, I don't know. But then like he cried. I was like, give him to me. And she's like, you feel like a mom. You know, so I was like, give me that boy back. But yeah, I think there's probably some shock, and then everybody has a moment where it hits you like, okay, this is really real now.
Yeah, and I think you never know. I just had this conversation with someone that's pregnant, or just her first baby, and I just told her, like, you just never know how you're gonna be. You know, you never know. Like, obviously, you never know how the delivery and labor is gonna be. But I never thought I was gonna be like a helicopter crazy mom that I am. I just didn't expect that. Even from the day they were born, I've been stalking them. Like, I'm just obsessed, you know, like, and I just did not, basically, a professional natural stalker now. But I didn't imagine myself like that. Like, I thought I was going to leave them with the grandparents or mama and them and be like, oh, let them babysit. But no, like, I'm the complete opposite. Like, I'm very anal about everything, from their diet from day one to who's holding them, like, still to this day, you know, like, I'm not saying I don't let them, you know, go out with grandparents and stuff, but I'm saying is that from birth, pregnancy, people say a lot of things, and then that baby comes, everything changes. Like, you literally don't know who you're going to be, how you're going to change, how it's going to affect your partner, how it's going to affect your relationship, you know, all of those things. And I think we tapped on this before, when you have a baby, like what age you have a baby at. If I had a baby in my 20s, which I did actually, early 20s, I definitely may have been different than I am now. I had a baby at 28, I think, and then at 30. So it was a little different, just the maturity. And then also just having that spousal support. Like my husband was in there like pushing the milk out of my boobs for me, like he was really, really helpful and like coaching me through it. But if I had been married to someone in my past, probably not. They probably been like, you better get that baby some formula, like, or that's my body, So it really depends. Like you just never know. So every mom, I think, just like you have your plan, but it's okay if you deviate from your plan. It's okay if things don't work out perfect. Like as long as the baby gets here safe, that's literally all that matters at the end of the day. And I know like New Jersey has like an extremely high C-section rate. So like most of my friends, have had C-sections. So when we share stories, it's just interesting. Like I respect women that have had that literally life changing surgery, like their body cut in half to sacrifice for a human being, like that's love, so I just respect moms, and I'm just excited for new moms, because you just never know how you're going to be. It changes you for the better, I would say, always.
Yeah. I guess I would say to women who may have to have a C-section for whatever reason, is to just kind of give yourself permission to not feel guilty about it. You are doing what you literally have to do to deliver a safe and healthy baby, and to hopefully, be healthy yourself. Also take it easy afterwards, because, I just didn't know what to expect, but it is a major surgery. You're going through, muscle and tissue, and it is a major procedure. And I saw something recently that just talked about the seriousness of it, and like how it's similar to other surgeries, but with most other surgeries that are of this, degree, you get extra, a certain amount of time off, and you get physical therapy. And with a C-section, it's like, 6 to 8 weeks, get back. No one says physical therapy or anything like that. You actually still feel sensitive in that area for a very long time. You can't lift, and they tell you can't lift anything heavier than your baby. So really, that's that. And then if you have stairs, you can't go up and down the stairs, or you could rupture your sutures. You have to worry about infection, because like a lot of people were telling me, wear a girdle afterwards so that the muscles in your stomach will come back together. But when I saw the stitches and the tape and the bandages, I was like, I'm not putting anything extra in this, on this area. I want to give it room to breathe and let it heal. And thank God I didn't have any complications around that. But you can't sleep on your stomach, obviously, for a lot longer. Maybe some folks are able to get right back to that. It's a long process. I think I didn't feel normal in my, like stomach area until 6 months later.
Wow.
But thankfully, again, I had a really good doctor who gave me an incision right at the bikini line, so you can't see it. She was really thoughtful about that. She was like, I want to get you back in your bathing suit. Little did she know that wasn't the issue. It was all the snacks that I that I had that didn't get me back in that bathing suit. But yeah, just show yourself grace. You are a mother, you are strong, you survived it. You're no less of a mother than anyone else. We all go through the same process. My husband was asking me recently, in the future, when we have another one, would you want to do the vaginal delivery, and would that be better? And I said, honestly, they're both tough. They're both tough. They're both, they both require healing and recovery. And, it's just different types of recovery. Honestly, I wouldn't take one over the other. They both sound really hard. So
yeah,
that's how I feel about that.
I guess my part is like, I felt when I was just like, I did it. I mean, you guys know I plan a lot. So I was just okay. Like, I didn't even know I tore. They're like, oh, you tore a little bit. I was like, oh, okay. So my thing is like, I didn't go to school to be a doctor. You did. So do what you got to do. That's like my philosophy when it goes to a lot of my doctors. Because even I actually go to physical therapy because my hip hurts from giving birth. And even with them, they're like, oh, I'm going to touch you here. I say, you are the physical therapist. Do what you got to do. I didn't go to school for this. You did. So I really tried to put faith and trust in the medical professionals that I choose to work with, and try to be as honest as possible with them so they know what I want and what I need. And I feel like that has always helped me get the services that I need. So just advocating a lot for yourself, and if you don't even like your doctor, changing your doctor to someone else so you are with someone you trust. Because at the end of the day, you're trusting someone with your life and with your baby's life. And I would never want something to happen and then I'm second guess all the choices that I'm making, because that day is already hard and very exhausting as it is, and you don't want to also have that on your mind. So just wanted to add that in.
I think that was, yeah.
Sorry, Alisa.
No,
what was your first meal after delivery?
I live down the street from Pathmark. I don't know if you guys remember what Pathmark is.
Yes, of course.
We're from North Jersey. I live down the street from Pathmark, and so my first in-hospital meal was like an apple juice and some type of fruit thing. But when I got home, let me tell you, I'm telling you, like 3 days after giving birth, I was like, who's taking me to the store? Because I need to go get some crab legs from Pathmark and I need to eat. And I got crab legs, I got shrimp, I had some yellow rice, and I had some sausages. That was my first home meal. And my little, newborn was on my boob, and I'm like eating my crab legs, and she getting a taste through the milk, I guess. And it was a great meal.
That sounds good.
I was so hungry. Like I was telling Dr. Lamb earlier today that, like, when I have a second kid, I'm going to stay at home for as long as possible so I can eat, because I don't think that we should have to starve.
You know what?
I'm thirsty.
I just want to eat.
Hungry. Like, I would think I would be a nicer person throughout labor and delivery if I had some food to comfort me. Like, it's just a very hard time to not be comforted by simple things as food. But
yeah, that's true. That's why I stayed home with the second one until I couldn't talk, because I was like, I gotta eat. Because I know the first one I had a tuna fish or some old tuna fish sandwich at the hospital, because after 34 hours you're not eating. That's all they could find. Okay.
Oh no.
My husband actually, his trifling self went to a diner with his sister. I was like, with the IHOP. I think with the IHOP or something. I was like, okay. Joker didn't bring me a pancake or nothing. So the nurses was like, I had them in 2:34 in the morning. So it was New Year's Eve. So nobody, it was crazy. So they were like, oh, well, we found this sandwich. I'm like, I'll take it, but I'm hungry. Yeah. So I was very
Tuna is
hangry.
not the favorite thing in the cafeteria.
No, especially out. I'm like, I make my own tuna at home. I don't want no tuna at a random hospital. The second one I had him in the daytime right before lunch. So I don't remember. I just ate the hospital food. It was the best food ever. So, but when I got home, that's when like the breastfeeding hunger kicked in. And I was obsessed with Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookie. And I don't even like chocolate, but I ate those every day. And it actually ended up hurt.
Breastfeeding makes me want things creamy and like,
yes.
I wanted a Frappuccino every day.
Oh my God. Starbucks?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the devil. But the chocolate ended up hurting my baby's stomach. So I had to stop eating them.
No.
Breastfeeding. Yeah. That was
those kids, man.
Yeah, I didn't eat that night. I was just kind of like out of it. But the next day, do you know what my mama did for me? She had to work in North Jersey, and she brought me my favorite wrap. She brought me a chicken Caesar wrap from Chateau of Spain in North.
Ooh.
And it was delicious. Like, she walked in, she's like, I have a treat for you. And so people were bringing me my favorite things every day that I knew I couldn't get. So you can't have Caesar dressing while you're pregnant. So they bought me that. And the next day, somebody bought me a Jersey Mike sub, turkey and cheese, extra oil and vinegar. They
hungry right now.
Hooked you up, right?
They hooked me up, yeah. So they were bringing me my favorite things at least once a day. So I would wait for that. And then I think in the hospital, when I did order stuff, I would just order really big meals so that my husband could eat too.
Yes.
Like the nurse told us that, order big, get as much as you want.
I don't remember my first meal. I think I did eat the hospital food, but when I felt like really like happy was when I had like my first break in like Alex, Dave, and Luna and I went to go see friends, and I finally had sushi, and I was just like in heaven. And they're like, "Are you okay? Are you starving?" I was like, "I'm breastfeeding. I haven't had sushi in a while. Like, this is heaven." I was like, "And I don't have a kid on my boob for a good 6 hours. I am
Girl,
happy
yes.
as I can be." So that was my first meal, but I was just like, okay, I'm happy now. Yeah.
Yeah, you deserve it. Cool. Well, it's time
For
for the
that mommy moment.
Yeah.
All right. So the mommy moment for this week is more about creating an environment that supports you being able to have mommy moments. We want to encourage you all to start to assign responsibilities in your home. Everybody can have a responsibility in the home, whether it be your partner, the children, even the toddler. Everyone can have some type of chore. Giving responsibilities in the house to folks really increases engagement, increases pride. Mommy can't be the only person cleaning and cooking and, doing all that kind of stuff. So really take some time to sit down and think about, your partner and your kids developmentally. Where are they? What can they take on? That creates more time for you to be alone and take care of yourself. That is what we're encouraging for this week.
Love that.
And we just want to thank you guys for joining us again, Sister Moms. Be sure to take care of yourselves, and make sure you tune in for our next chat. We'll see you later.
Bye.